Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation with Xplora Technologies. My name is Øystein Lodgaard. I'm the analyst that covers Xplora here with ABG. With us today, we have the CEO and founder of the company, Sten Kirkbak. We have the COO, Kjetil Fennefoss, and the CFO, Jonas Ringstad. So with that, I leave the word over to you, Sten.
Thanks so much for the intro, Øystein. We are all really excited to be here today. And we will run a presentation, which will be a recap from our recent Q1 presentation. If you go to the next page, you'll see, like I mentioned, it's three from the Xplora team here today. Myself, Sten Kirkbak, CEO and founder, background from the tech industry over the last 2 decades. Also jointly with our COO, Kjetil Fennefoss, also extensive experience from the telco industry, more than 25 years. And also Jonas will take us through a financial update at the end of the presentation. On the next page, you can see a quick summary of Xplora. As you can see, Xplora has managed to become a category leader within our field, smartwatches for kids. It's a really large and untapped market that currently has a low penetration. And as we will showcase to you a little bit later, it's a very highly scalable business model with a lot of high margin recurring revenue services. Over the last few years, we have had a massive growth, currently being the largest one in the category, EU and US combined. We have sold more than 1.2 million smartwatches. And last year, we had a revenue of more than 500 million NOK. We are focusing on 9 core global markets where we have MVNO, meaning SIM connectivity. Kjetil will take you through some of those details. And we have currently managed to get more than 160,000 subscribers in our core market, first in Nordic and now ready to grow into the global market as well. Headquarter is in Oslo, roughly 120 employees. And some years ago, we got listed at Euronext Growth. Moving on to the next page. You can see a quick summary of the IP and our IP strategy. As you can see, really it starts with our core IP being the family IoT platform. Then we have now developed more than 10 generations of product smartwatches for kids. And as mentioned, we have also set up and invested in 9 global MVNO solutions, providing recurring or highly margin recurring revenue services. And also as one of the very few telcos or in our industry, we have been able to showcase that we can drive additional revenue from our value-added services as well. Moving on to the next page, we have a very clear way how to monetize our strategy as well. We have, as mentioned, developed 10 different generations of products this year and going into next year. We have 3 newly developed hardware platforms driving revenue from the watches from 149 euro. Then, as mentioned, since it's a mobile product, they all require a SIM. Hence, we are able to provide also the SIM connectivity in our product, in our 9 market. And we have 2 different price points, starting with our SIM basic proposition, roughly at 999, slightly different from market to market. And also we have the opportunity to upsell to premium SIM services for roughly 1299, so a 30% uplift in price for our premium services. That drives on average roughly 30 months, an average lifetime value over lifetime of roughly 450 euro, with all revenue from services becoming very highly or high margin from those revenue. Going into next page, we would like also to provide you a quick summary from our Q1. We recently, last week, presented our Q1 numbers, started with group revenue in Q1 of roughly 100 million NOK, uplift of roughly 36% year on year from last year. And of the 100 million, 49 million stem from recurring service revenue, which also is an uplift of 47% year on year. As mentioned, our subscription counts for roughly 170,000 subscription, a growth of 36% year on year. We have also managed to improve our gross earnings. Q1 that counted for 62 million NOK or 62% margin. We also, first time, we have reported a positive EBITDA in Q1, accounting for 1.6 million NOK. And we also entered or exited Q1 with a healthy cash balance of 55 million NOK. Moving on to the next page, that really summarizes why we believe the timing to look into Xplora right now is or should be very compelling. We entered into 2021, that was just after we got listed at Euronext, where we basically at that point was a hardware company, but with a strong vision to be able to sell services and execute a service strategy. Our lifetime value measured in gross margin was at that time about 25 euro. And at the time, we also traded at roughly 40 NOK per share. Now, 2 years later, we have been able to 10 times increase our gross margin measured in NOK to around 275. That is because we have been able to execute our service revenue strategy and selling our product bundled with basic SIM cards and also with the opportunity to upgrade to even more profitable premium services. And I think that's a good segue in order to allow Kjetil to guide us through how we have been able to execute our SIM strategy.
Right, so I'll give you an operational update with focusing on our SIM services. So if you go to the next, please, thank you. We used the years 2016 to 20 in the Nordics to build our MVNO setup. MVNO means that we are a mobile virtual network operator or one of the leading telcos networks. So we have the MVNO status. In that period, we actually managed to let's say, detect our segment as a new niche in the Nordic telecom markets, and we ended up taking 49% of the net adds during the period Q2 2017 through Q2 2022. And that's quite substantial number when you see this in a relatively big Nordic market. So 49% of the net adds, clearly defining a new niche and taking that niche. During last year, we set up the same setup in 4 new large European markets in Germany, in the UK, in France, and in Spain. And we also have an intermediate solution in the US, where we, while we are waiting for our own MVNO setup that we have just started now in Q2 this year, and we expect to be operational with a full MVNO setup in the US on AT&T's network during Q3 this year. We already have grasped 6,000 subscribers in the US on this intermediate solution, meaning that we are starting to build the customer base there as well. Next, please. We have been growing steadily over the last years in the Nordic markets, reaching a customer base of 150,000 subscriptions by the end of the last quarter. And we also then said that we've got the first effects from the markets outside the Nordics, where we grew with 10,000 SIM subscribers outside of the Nordic markets. In the US, we have a very high take-up rate on our SIM sales, meaning that 84% of the customers buying our Xplora SIM watch with an included Xplora SIM card actually activated the SIM card. And of course, there is very big differences in the seasonality in our market, and that's the reason why you see that the Nordic markets, the black line, is flat in Q1, because there is also a churn on an existing base, while the sales are the lowest during Q1 in a full year. But overall, we have a growth then of roughly 10K in the first quarter. Next, please. We have introduced the Xplora Premium service on top of the telco service, and in that way, I would say we are one of the first players to actually monetize service revenue. That is something that telcos have been focusing on for many years, but it is very hard to prove it, and we have succeeded in doing so. So on top of the telco service, we have a set of entertainment content for children, such as games, learning software, adventures, auctions that they can participate in, and the parents then pay an equivalent to €3 for that additional service. We have been working a bit on how to sell it, and we have found out that so far the most efficient way is actually when the customer signs up for the service, that we give them the choice between the basic and the premium service. And we see 20% conversion rate, meaning parents then choosing the premium subscription at the point of time when they sign up for the service. On top of that, we sell also the premium service as a standalone to existing customers through the Xplora app. And as of May, we had then already 12,000 subscribers on the premium package. Next, please. Most telcos, they experience flat RPU development, RPU meaning average revenue per user per month. And we see here with an example from the Norwegian market on the left-hand side, that we gradually have increased the price over the last few years. And that is a combination of price increases, adding now recently sort of premium services, and just to show the impact of the price increase, which we did from the 1st of January this year, with equivalent to 8 kroner that would give us incremental 15 million NOK revenue for a full year, a full 12 months period. So I think that proves both that we are able to grow the customer base and we are growing the RPU, and on top of that, we add revenue from value-added content. Thank you.
Right. Next slide, please. So, as Sten mentioned, Q1 2023 saw a huge revenue increase, 36% year over year, up to 100 million NOK for the first time in Q1. Now, that's pretty good for a year, but looking at what we've done since 2021, it's almost a doubling of our revenue in that quarter. And as you can see, we have grown every quarter for the past 4 years. And this is in part, over to the next slide, please, due to a strong service revenue growth, as Kjetil mentioned. And something that Sten brought up as well was when we went public around the winter or sort of the fall of 2020, we had an equity value multiple on our annual recurring revenue of about 20. That has since come way down and is now closer to 1.6, which is pretty attractive for any investor, I would assume. So looking at our last 12 months service revenue, we can see that it has steadily increased. And on average, that has increased by 11% quarter over quarter for the past 8 quarters or so. Now, in 2023 Q1, we had service revenue of 49 million NOK. That was in large part from Norway, the biggest market by today. But also we see strong growth in Sweden, where 23% of our service revenue came from, and Finland and Denmark coming in at 12% and 7% respectively. Next slide, please. So all in all, our EBITDA was positive for the first time in Q1 at 1.6 million NOK, and we had annualized recurring revenue, meaning the service revenue we had for Q1 multiplied by 4 of 197 million NOK. Given the market capitalization we had of 280 million, That is 1.4 times our annual recurring revenue. We also had 42 million shares outstanding, and as I said, the share price was closer to 7 NOK at the end of the quarter. Next slide, please. So going a bit further into the cash balance, by the end of Q1, we had current assets of 280 million NOK. We had current debt of 154 million NOK, which gave us a net working capital of 126 million. One of the things that we had as a major achievement last year was 100 million NOK in financing facility from Nordea Bank. That gives us the opportunity to finance our purchase of goods for a total of 6 months at very attractive terms and conditions. So beginning at the end of last year and going into Q1 this year, we started using that facility. And that is one of the reasons you see that we have an increase in debt in Q1. Part of that increase in debt was from inventory. So we increased our inventory by 15 million NOK. We had deposits paid to our service providers and vendors of prepaid goods not received, which increased by 11 million NOK. And our accounts payables increased by 10 million, which was also a way of financing goods purchased from our vendors. We have also for the quarter a CapEx of 4 million NOK, which is in line with our guided 20 to 25 million forecast of CapEx for the entire year of 2023, which is significantly reduced from last year's CapEx. We also forecast improvements to our cash balance at the end of Q2 this year, and a positive cash flow from operations in the second half of this year. Next slide, please. Finally, we also want to quickly guide you through what the ownership structure looked like in Xplora today. So far, we have raised more than 540 million NOK in cash. We are listed on Euronext Growth in Oslo, and our top 20 shareholders currently control roughly 63% of shares outstanding. There are more than 1,300 shareholders at the end of the quarter. The final slide. I think we can now open to questions if there are any.
Yes, thank you very much. So I wanted to start up on touching on the market. We know it's right now it's a very tough market for consumer electronics and for wearables in particular. If you look at Garmin, wearable sales were down 14% year over year in Q1, but you actually managed to grow your device sales by 17 to 18% year over year in Q1. So can you say, is there some specific new markets or new customers driving this, or is this a general trend?
I can comment on that. We have entered into got some new customers in Germany, which is our largest market in terms of units sales, and also remember that we are in a new category where we are the leading player. So it can't actually be compared to, let's say, wearables in general. We are performing better than the market because we are, let's say, in a new category that continues to grow. That said, we get feedback from our retailers that we are performing better than the average vendors in the category, but it's mainly because we open up a new category of a product that hasn't been there before. So I think that helps us continue to grow.
Great. And today you have a very strong position in the Nordics. In Norway, 18% of all kids between the age 4 and 10 are using an Xplora watch, and now you're focusing on expanding also beyond the Nordics. Can you see what are the key markets where you expect to see growth in the years going forward?
We have history of being strong in the German market, where we now have all the 3 leading telcos as our customers. So there we see a very good development. We see also a very strong development in Q1 on Amazon as a sales channel, where we can actually explore new markets and build the brand before we eventually enter into those markets with another MVNO, meaning telco and service setup. Of course, US, a lot of focus on the market where we have a strong team in place. Entering into US retailers takes time. We're working hard on it. We see the first results. We also announced in our Q1 presentation that we have the first major delivery to a US retailer shipped out. So it's going in the right direction. But these huge markets, it takes time to build the brand and get in a foot in the door with the major retailers.
Of course, that makes sense. And I guess you're also working with US telcos. Where are the processes there? Do you expect to be able to launch with the US telco this year, or is that something for the future?
I can address that, Kjetil. What we have said is that in all markets where we have seen success, a strong telco partnership has been part of that success in that market. For example, Deutsche Telekom in the German market, and we have been in multiple RFPs, and we still are with also the multiple telcos in the US market. And our objective is to also be able to have one strong telco partner in the US market, and we'll announce that as soon as we hopefully will achieve a partnership there as well.
Exciting. And moving over to the subscription side of the business, you now have shifted to a much larger focus on the subscriptions, going from 4 markets to 9 markets, where you have a subscription in just a very short time. And then you also launched now your premium subscription. Can you say something about what has been the uptake of the new premium subscription so far?
Yeah, we have at the end of Q1, we announced 9,000 premium subscriptions, and we also showed it in this deck that we have 12,000 premium subscriptions at the end of May, or at the date of May when we present. So it's clearly going in the right direction. We see from the conversion when the consumers sign up for the subscription, roughly between 20 and 30%, depending on the markets, they actually opt in for the premium subscription. And that's really without any hard sales or hard marketing. It's just giving the consumers the option to do a guided selection when they sign up. On top of that, we sell also through the app to existing customers or customers of telcos that don't sell with our subscription.
And the last question, which is a bigger question, where is Xplora in 5 years? Are you a provider of kids smartphones with a larger share in more markets, or have you also expanded into other product areas?
I think that's a very good question, Øystein, and like you said, it's quite a big and broad question as well. What we have said to the market now is that for 2023, we have a crystal clear focus on replicating what we already have done with success. So extending the Nordic MVNO model into 5 new global markets. We are selling 3 products into 9 markets with SIM and true price point. However, as we also disclosed during our Capital Market Day earlier this year, we also was very clear that the kids wearable market is 1 out of 5, 6 very, very compelling and exciting family IoT markets. That means that we have 2 very exciting ways to grow from 2024 and forward. One, we can continue to expand our kids smartwatch category with SIM into new markets and new channels, or we can also capitalize on our strong position in the broader family IoT space, meaning that we could explore new categories such as elderly or even pets, bikes, and so on, other categories within family IoT. That's because it's the same distributor, it's the same retailer, it's the same buyer. So it's a very nice way for us to grow our technology into multiple verticals. So we can expand into new markets or we can expand into new verticals as long as we successfully grow our model this year.
I see. Well, I think it will be an exciting journey to follow. Thank you very much for presenting to us here today, and thank you to everyone who listened in. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.